So I was giving out Valentine's gifts, and apparently I'm Sinoa's research assistant now. I guess let's see what she wants to research. Wormholes. Should we tell her about the other world? Sinoa, the intrepid scholar, is a 4-star fire wand from way back in the Desert Jewel and Abyssal Flame summoning showcase. Sinoa is a scientist who is indeed working to make a bridge across space-time, but usually ends up making a huge explosion instead. After witnessing her explosive capabilities, the prince recognized opportunity and offered this poor college expellee a place to live, eat, and fulfill their dream of research in exchange for blowing up enemies on the battlefield. What he didn't realize at the time was that Sinoa will stop at nothing to see her project finished, and apparently she considers the 3 university buildings she burnt down a necessary sacrifice, so take that as you may. Sinoa takes after most of the other researchers in the Helidom by also wielding magic, but is actually pretty unique in that regard among the chemist and alchemist community. When in combat, Sinoa can stay back away from the fight, attacking from a distance with basic magic attacks and 4 strikes, and occasionally lob magical experiments across the battlefield, breaking whatever expensive equipment they were being contained in, as well as the enemies. Now, if only she dealt more damage to those enemies than she did to the Helidom. When it comes to helping in her own personal way though, Sinoa has the team covered. In something. I'm not quite sure what this custom concoction is, but Sinoa frequently splashes it all over the team, and it does something, and does it well. She seems to be throwing these together and then throwing these pretty rapidly though, so I don't think there's any actual decision going into what she's making specifically. I guess we'll just hope for the best. But when one of these mixtures fails, she can lob that blundering Balmer right at the enemy instead to deal flame damage to it and its surroundings. Do make sure to steer clear. As explosions do technically count as a skill in addition to an art, every Helidom resident to date known for explosions is really good at improving the team's skill damage. Well, I guess except for the other chemist who explodes things in the sky. Why did we never hear about his failed experiments? Maybe Sinoa's just being nice and taking the blame since she's already known for it. We do know that she's done that before for a colleague. Sinoa also prefers to be fully focused when working in the field, so if she has to focus at all on any wound she's accrued, her explosions aren't going to be as spectacular. Also, like many passionate researchers, Sinoa doesn't sleep anymore as she stays up all night working on projects to the point where enemies can't even put her to sleep anymore. Additionally, if you give her a whole pool of Eld water, she can mix it into her custom mixes and increase their durations. 1 or 2 limited banners should produce enough for that. When picking out her equipment, the Rod of Alchemy is a pretty good choice, and maybe Silas will see Sinoa using it and give it a try. As Sinoa is trying to break through time and space, Bonds Between World is a good worm print to use. She's also reading pretty frequently, so Trove of Knowledge is also a good pick. Finally, she should have a dragon that appreciates research as much as she does. Nidhogg is curious and Mercury is smart, but the Astral Imp simply loves books, and can probably help out in the lab when it's not blown up. Sinoa doesn't typically lead research expeditions, but when she does, I'd recommend taking these folks along. Laxi is an android, and Sinoa could marvel over her and examine how she operates in combat. Nicholas is also a grad student who stands to learn a lot from this dropout, or at least we can pretend he can. Finally, let's throw Ezzelith on the team, because either she is a genius and can lend a hand, or we get to watch as she tries to show off and fails miserably. I'm down for either. Do not bring Kleiman, however. We won't be able to withstand the combined explosions. In summary, Sinoa is an underrated gem which was explicitly drawn out for us by the name of her original showcase. This deserted jewel has some wickedly strong buffs to bring to the table, which may or may not remain standing after the ensuing explosion. So just remember that if you didn't expend your good luck on the gacha, bring over all those tears and roll some good buffs instead.